This is the new Samsung Galaxy Book 3 Pro 360. Say that 5 times fast. Now, in order to test out this fancy new 16-inch folding laptop, I need your help. Give me a drawing challenge. Okay, these are really good. I'm gonna go with this one. Comic redraw. Take a page from an old comic and draw it in your style. Okay, I love this idea. So this is one of my favorite lines of laptops to draw on. Samsung makes good stuff, so I decided to pick up the Pro version of this laptop to review this year for one big reason. They've upgraded the screen. One of the only things I felt was holding this thing back over the last few years is that 1920 by 1080 full HD display. Well, now we have a 2880 pixel by 1800 pixel display, which sits somewhere comfortably between like a 2K and a 4K resolution. Wouldn't that be 3K? Is that a thing? Now, something to note, if you do decide to go with the smaller version, the 13-inch version of this laptop, it still has that full HD display. If it's using the same panel as they used last year, it's still a really nice display, it just doesn't have the higher resolution. But this thing looks fantastic. I really like having that higher density display, especially at this larger 15.6 inch size. This is also a touchscreen, and the key feature for me is that 360-degree hinge, so I can fold it over like a tablet and draw on it using the included S Pen. By the way, have I told you what I'm drawing? I haven't told you what I'm drawing. This is a page from a Spider-Man graphic novel that I had on my shelf. This is drawn by Todd McFarlane. When I was growing up, I loved Spawn and Image comics. It was just so crazy detailed. Now, obviously, my style, dramatically different, much more cartoony. A lot of the books I was thinking about pulling from are kind of more cartoony books, which is why I decided to go with this one, because it is so different. Also, once I got into this, I realized it's going to take me a long time to draw an entire page, so maybe I just focus on a panel so I can get this video out a day or two early. Now, there are two RAM/storage configurations, 16 gigabytes of RAM with 512 gigabytes of storage, or 16 gigabytes of RAM with a whole terabyte of storage. There's also a micro SD card slot, so if you want to go that route, you could add more storage on the cheap. This is a 13th generation Intel Core i7 processor, so as you would expect from a device this thin, it's also using Intel's Iris instead of a discrete GPU. Wow, numbers and names. Brett, what does this mean? This is a mid-tier laptop, which means it's fine for drawing, illustration. It's going to perform great. Adobe Suite, you're good. I rendered out one of my videos in Premiere Pro, nothing crazy. I just used standard 1080p footage like this, so it took some time, but totally works. If video is the main thing you're producing, I don't know if this laptop is the way I would go. Also, if you want to do a lot of gaming on your laptop or you do 3D modeling, you're probably going to want something with more power. But if you're willing to make some compromises here and there with quality, this works. There's some decent I/O here as well. You got an HDMI port, 2 USB Type-C Thunderbolt ports, a USB Type-A port, and that micro SD port that I mentioned a minute ago. And thank goodness, they even kept the headphone jack. Other amenities worth mentioning here is it's decently light, coming in at 3.6 pounds, has a fingerprint reader, and that front-facing camera is 1080p. This year, there are only 2 color options. We've got a graphite, which is what I have here, and a beige. They got rid of the burgundy and gold from the last few years, which is kind of a bummer. I was probably the only person who went with the burgundy. Let's check in with Brad from the past. How's that drawing going?
I don't know how to color it.
Just keep going. You got it. If you've ever followed an online art tutorial or a course and thought, this just isn't turning out right, it's not you. When I started teaching myself art a few years back, I found that I needed an elementary school class or even like a middle school or a high school class before I was jumping into some of the college level classes I was finding online. My new Intro to Digital Art course is designed to be that stepping stone into digital art. Each project in that course is designed to give you a quick win and build some of those fundamental skills so you can go back to those tougher courses and tutorials and kick some butt. So check out that link down below in the description to learn more, and we're back to the video. The S Pen. I talk a lot about the S Pen around here, I know, but if you're new, here's the lowdown. Samsung has been putting these Wacom-powered pens into their devices for years, their tablets, their phones, and the drawing experience is really good. I really like using these pens. The lines are smooth, you don't get weird blobs or anything, it holds pressure well, there's really nice tapering at the end of your lines, it just works the way you want a pen to work when you're drawing or taking notes. And since this is Windows, you can bust open Photoshop, Clip Studio, Krita, pretty much any drawing program that you want to use, any professional drawing program, you're good to go. So many options on Windows. I've been using Adobe Fresco today. In this video, it's part of the Adobe suite. Even though it looks like a mobile app, it originated on the iPad, so it kind of is very reminiscent of Procreate. Fresco takes a lot of cool stuff from Photoshop and puts it into like a mobile app interface, and it just works really well on one of these touchscreen devices. So the pen has a rubbery tip, which means it feels like you're dragging a piece of rubber against a glass screen. It's not the most natural feeling thing to it. It's not like drawing on like a textured tablet screen or something you might get from Wacom. It's not feeling supernatural, but it is one of those things that after you use it for a few hours, you do get used to it. And it does give you more control than using something plastic and hard on a glass screen. Now, one of my main gripes with Samsung products, and some of you people hate it when I bring it up, but I'm going to keep saying it, is palm rejection, because it's just okay. It's not horrible, but it's okay. Sometimes I can go hours and have a great experience and it just works flawlessly. Other times I just get palm marks all day long, all over my drawings, or I select the wrong layer. And that sort of thing can be kind of frustrating, and it is a little bit hit or miss. Now, some apps like Fresco here gives me the option to turn off all touch inputs except gestures, or all touch inputs outside of the pen. So I've found ways to work around it, but it is important to keep that in mind, especially if your drawing app of choice doesn't have that feature. Can I set this laptop up at a cool angle and draw on it? Nope, the hinge just isn't strong enough for that, so if you're going to be spending a lot of time drawing at your desk, like I am here, you might want to track down some kind of stand that you could prop this up at a really nice drawing angle. Now, the downside of flipping this over into that 360-degree position is you lose all of those keyboard shortcuts, which for a lot of Windows apps, especially if you're drawing in illustration, that is a big deal. Photoshop is really hard to draw in without being able to use Control-Z. That's the main reason why I'm using Fresco here. In the past, I've played with some things. There are some apps out there that let you put some shortcut keys like touch keys directly on the screen that overlap over Photoshop. Those work decently. I prefer the tactile feedback. Of course, there's shortcut remotes, or you can take a Bluetooth keyboard and connect it that way and have everything just kind of off to the side while you're working. But that's something to take into consideration if you're looking at a laptop like this. Another design quirk here is the fan placement. I think I mentioned this last year. It's along the back, so when you're in laptop mode, that is like the perfect place to put a fan and shoot out all your hot air. But this also means that when you fold it over, and if it's sitting on your lap, it's really easy to block that airflow. When it's sitting in my stand, that hot air is blowing back at me while I'm working. That also makes this device in general kind of warm if you're using it for a long extended period of time. Here we are, fast forward to our finished art. Thanks again, Panda Maru. This is not much of a reveal since I've used this in all the B-roll up to now, but I had fun with this one. I thought this was a really great challenge. My take on the Galaxy Book 3 Pro 360 is that this is a really nice laptop for medium workloads. So any art app is gonna run great, occasionally small video editing projects, that sort of thing. The prices right now, I think, are a bit high on these laptops. With the one that I have here, the price is getting dangerously close to like $2,000, and there are just better performers out there at that price. You're probably not going to find anything though in this form factor. So if you are price conscious, and who isn't, check back on this laptop in a few months. Samsung usually drops their prices over time. Or if you don't need this better screen or are going with the 13-inch version and want to save some money, last year's models are still on sale. They are a step down in specs, but they're still very good products. Currently, it's starting at $900 for the 13-inch model. That is a really good value for what you're getting there. So that's the new Galaxy Book 3. Generally, I really liked it. I think the updates they made here are really solid. What do you think? Let me know down below in the comments. Thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you in a couple of days.